What is up, Quiet Place fans? In this video, I'll be ranking all three Quiet Place movies from worst to best. Now that we have the third entry in the franchise, A Quiet Place Day 1, I thought it was time to make a ranking. So, yep, let's get right into this. This is in the wrong order. All right. So, yeah, let's move into the first movie. And, yeah, A Quiet Place is just a classic horror movie. It just is a great premise. It did a great job introducing us to the characters, the world, just all that stuff. It is a fantastic movie as a whole. It definitely has its issues though, but I'm still going to throw it up in the S tier. I think this is an iconic movie. However, I will say there are a lot of flaws. I'm not going to say, usually I will admit I have, so as an explanation, let's add two rows. Because typically, I have an S plus tier here, and then I have something that I call the real tier, which means those are like my favorite movies of all time. Like this is like a top 10 favorite movie. This is like, I don't know, top 50, and this is like still really good, but not quite like that legendary level. So that's usually what I have. So I'm not saying that this is one of my like absolute favorite movies of all time, but I still think it's an iconic horror movie, absolutely fantastic premise. It does a great job of showing us this group of characters living in this like post-apocalyptic dystopian reality where you can't make noise or else you're basically screwed, you're about to die. Now, here are some of my issues. The beginning sequence, while it's very emotionally powerful, it just makes no sense. Like, it kind of takes me out of it. And you have to do a lot to take me out of a movie. Like, I watch the goofiest of Marvel movies and I'm totally okay with it. But like a girl, like she takes the batteries out but then just drops them on the floor. Also, these, or like something like that. And then they walk in a single file line, and just so many bad decisions made by this family. I mean, I'm just surprised they've lived as long as they have, a year or whatever. I don't know. Like, part of me is just like, what the heck? Also, the fact that it's said a year later means that by design, they got Emily Blunt's character got pregnant during this event. Why are people getting spicy during this event? Also, there's a pharmacy. Get some contraceptives or something, or just practice your high school lessons of abstinence. Like, come on. Like, you are in a post-apocalyptic world. I mean, yeah, I get that I don't know. I know that you probably want some prosperity or something, but like, this is not the time to do it. You gotta kill those things first, because otherwise, this baby's gonna get you all killed, and then it doesn't even matter anymore. So yeah, that was a stupid. I don't know. Obviously, every plot hole in this movie, though, yeah, it annoys me, but at the same time, they make for some of the most emotional moments of the movie. So it's just hard to. It's hard to say it's one of like my favorite movies because of those plot holes, but at the same time, part of the charm comes from all those plot holes. So I'm kind of mixed on that. But anyway, this is definitely one of my favorite like newer horror movies. I'm more of like an Alfred Hitchcock type of guy. Like those aren't really even horror. Those are more just like suspense. I mean, this really isn't even that much of horror anyway, but like yeah, my favorite like horror movies are like Vertigo and Wait Until Dark. Like those are old movies. But like this is one of my new like favorites of the like past few decades. Like they're just great movies, and this is one of my favorites. So yeah, and A Quiet Place Part 2, I'm gonna admit it, I know a lot of people love this movie. A lot of people say it's their favorite of the three, and I can see why. But to me, this is one of my least favorite sequels of all time. I'm gonna throw it in the D tier. Now let me explain. Do I think it's a good movie? Yes. Is this what I wanted from a sequel? No. So, obviously, in the first movie, I didn't talk about it because I knew I was going to talk about it now. But John Krasinski's character sacrifices himself, and I love that scene. But my thing about this is his relationship with the daughter was like one of my favorite parts about the first movie. Like he was such a reason I liked the first movie. Emily Blunt's character, I never really thought she was that cool, and her son was like definitely the worst by far. I really, when like my favorite character gets killed off, as much as it was a great emotional scene, it just is hard to get as invested in this movie. Now, it was great. I think that day one sequence at the beginning of this movie is probably my favorite part of the movie, to be honest. It's a really good depiction of a day one event. I really liked that. And yeah, but here are my other problems with this movie. Sure, the action is better. Sure, like there's more like thrills and stuff. And I get it. Like a lot of my friends say this is the best one. And I can see it from that perspective. And I definitely get it. I think that a lot of people like Cillian Murphy's character. I don't really like him that much, but I get why people do. And I get it. It's fine. But he's just not my favorite. I don't really like. I don't know. It's just hard for me when my favorite character is literally dead. So it's just hard for me to really connect that much because so much of what I loved about that first movie was his character. Anyway, my other problem with this is half the movie just sucks to me. I don't care about the bank vault. I don't care about Emily Blunt, her baby, and her son that much. I mean, if these were real people, of course I would care. Like, this is depressing stuff. Like, even if these people have like zero personality, but like when it's the characters in a movie that I don't give a frick about, like the whole time I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like, I care about the daughter, so I'm like, okay, I don't want her to die, but these guys are kind of just annoying to me. I always just feel like they make too many stupid decisions, and it's just I don't know. I get why people love the Abbott family, but part of me is just like, dude, it peaked John Krasinski. So I don't know. John Krasinski kind of was just too good for me. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here, that whole part of that movie is just not great to me. It's just too. It's just like, why? Why are we even doing this? I mean, I know that obviously she doesn't want to bring a baby onto this adventure, but like that part of the movie was just boring. And then the adventure itself was just not too good. I thought that it was kind of lame. It was the daughter and the new character. They go around, some cool action or whatever. And yeah, I do like the scene where there's a bunch of like cannibal humans, and that's kind of crazy set piece, kind of cool. But then we move over to the island, and it's just like there's this lame twist. Oh, the monsters come, and there's all just this hopeful aura that I was really enjoying, where there's this island and stuff. They just all get destroyed, and the only people who survive are, of course, the main characters. And then they figure out how to beat the monsters, and then boom, we are ready for part 3 to end off the franchise. And it just felt like a nothing movie to me. I have no, like, yes, the action is better than the first one, but there's just like no emotional payoff here. I mean, I don't know. I think it's fine. I get why a lot of people love it, but it just wasn't for me. I think what I would have liked better is if just all of them went on the adventure. Just cut the whole bank vault thing. And what would have added so much to it was the fact that the baby does have to cry, and that would have just made it crazy. I would have loved to see that. That would have been insane. And then I would have loved for the ending to be hopeful. I'm not saying that any of these movies should have a happy ending necessarily, but a hopeful ending would have been great. Like, not everybody at this village needs to die. Like, I think that whole last action sequence was the worst part of the whole movie. Like, that ruins the movie for me. Like, otherwise, I'd probably be like, it's C tier. Like, it's not my favorite. But I think that last action sequence ruins the vibe for me. I think it would have been great. Maybe I'm just too much of an optimist here, but I would have loved there to be some stakes. Like, I'm not saying that nobody should have ever died in this movie. Like, maybe the son dies. I'm okay with sacrificing the son. Or maybe Cillian Murphy, his character, something, just something. There should have been some emotions in there, but I think that, yeah, the village, it's not like we connected with any of those characters enough for it to be emotional. It's just like, oh, we need another action set piece. And we need to show the monsters are powerful. So I don't know. I just thought it was annoying. Like, that whole last act just pissed me off. Like, I don't know. I get why people like this movie, but there was just so much wrong with it that I didn't like. Now, do I understand why some people say it's their favorite? Yeah, I get it. But this is not my movie. Like, I don't think I'll ever watch this movie again. Like, I would rather read the Wikipedia page than watch this movie. I just don't like it. So, yep. And this is B tier. I really loved my time with The Quiet Place day one. And really, sure, I don't think that it's as iconic as the first one or anything. I think the thrill of it is, I think this is definitely the least. Whereas even, I will admit, Quiet Place Part 2 is like the best action, the best set pieces, and all this stuff. I think this movie has the worst of the three movies. I think it's the least scary. I didn't really. And the big part of that is I have a love-hate relationship with the idea of Lupita Nyong'o's character not having, like, she has cancer. So she's about to die anyway. On one hand, I love that we just get like this carefree story where she just wants one, where she finds one last day, that even in all the chaos, she has this one day of her life that should suck, but she finds the happiness in it and is able to have a great last day of her life. That was awesome. But on the other hand, she's dispensable, if that makes sense. Like, she's about to die anyway. So there's not like that like that stake to it, that edge or whatever. It just doesn't, it's hard for me to say, yeah, it's like, it's just a good, it's more of a character study movie, which I do really enjoy, but I just think it's hard to latch on to the stakes as much. Now, he is not going to die, so it kind of works in the end. So I think it balances out pretty well, but you know, I'm going to actually move this up to the A tier. I think it's definitely deserving of an A tier movie, actually. I think it really is a great movie. Also, I just love the whole idea that when you really boil down to it, it's just about a lady who wants a slice of pizza to remember her dad on her last day on Earth. And that's just super touching. I do wish that she would have played the piano and like sang a song that her dad, instead of just listening to a random recording of Nina Simone singing Feeling Good. I think that would have been a much better way, much more emotional way to end her story. But, you know, it was kind of bad in that last scene where she's like, just pulls the plug on the headphones. So, you know, either way, it was cool. But the best part of this movie, though, for sure, is the characters. Lupita Nyong'o and whatever his name is. Oh, frick, what is his name? I know he's like an up-and-coming actor. Main character, wait, dude in Quiet Place day one. Joseph Quinn, that's who I was thinking of. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, Joseph Quinn. So yeah, he did a great job of playing his character. I just loved the friendship that these two characters had. I also didn't like that I also like that they didn't try to do any stupid relationship BS. Like, they meet each other this one day, and then the dude's like, "Oh, I love you, but you're about to die." That would have made me cringe. That would have been awful. Like, it would have been so bad if they did that. And I'm really glad that they were just these friends this one day of their life, and they just realized that, yeah, they just, yeah, it's so cool. And that scene where she gets the pizza, it's so satisfying. Where he's like just playing that little, like doing that little card trick. Like, this is such a simple movie, and the stakes are pretty low in terms of our actual main characters. Like, it never feels like they're actually going to die or anything. Whereas like in the first movie and the second movie, it was like, dang, this is. But yeah, and I just think this is a great depiction of day one. Like, I really, really thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And yeah, if the characters and the acting wasn't so good, and the freaking cat, like, I don't even care about animals in movies a lot of the time, I will admit. Like, a lot of times, yeah, they're cute and all, but they don't really do that much. Well, the cat in this movie absolutely slapped. Like, that was awesome. So yeah, anyway, just this movie was so good at just having such a silly out there premise of, yeah, a lady who wants some pizza, but delivering the emotional payoff even better than any. I think this is the most emotional. I don't know. It's more. It's emotional in a different way than the first one. The first one is emotional because of loss of loved ones, where this one's emotional in more. It's like more of a happy emotional. It's like someone rediscovering what the world, the joys of the world when there's a apocalyptic situation happening. And I think it's almost as good as that first movie. I don't think it's quite as good because, yeah, the premise is just, I mean, this is, as a movie depicting day one, it doesn't hit as hard as I would have liked. It isn't as scary. I don't love that she gets knocked out and then it just flashes forward. It's kind of mid. I mean, I do get it. We already saw it in part 2, and that's why I'm not like saying it's like a genuine like bad part of the movie. But I would have liked to see more of that crazy action. But other than that, I don't really have any complaints about this movie. I don't think it's quite as good as the original, but it's up there. And yeah, I think that these two main characters are way better than anyone in the Abbott family. Like even John Krasinski and the daughter, like I really liked both of them, but these two characters just were better. Like I've not in no worlds would I ever say that the Abbott family comes close to these characters. So like I think that Day One is a fantastic movie. I don't think it's quite as good as the original. I mean, it is the third movie in like it is the third movie. Like the aliens aren't too scary anymore. Maybe that's, but I think that yeah, if the emotions were done a little better in this movie, and in terms of like the stakes, because it was just weird. I don't know. It's so weird that I don't know. It's I love the story. I love that she has cancer, and it's just very interesting for the story, but at the same time it's hard to be scared for her life when I know she's going to die anyway. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird movie in that way, and also I wish there was more action. But other than that, it is definitely an S tier. I mean, if that were the case, it would be an S tier movie. If it was just a little more, if it did the actual Day One sequence better, and if it had somehow was able to make it feel more scared for Lupita Nyong'o's character. Now, I'm not going to say I have any ideas of how to change it. I don't think I even want it to change. So I don't really know. I think that, yeah, her playing the piano and singing a song her dad made, or like maybe like her dad and her wrote a song. She's wrote like a poet or whatever, and maybe she and her dad wrote a song and then she sings it, plays the piano. Like even that would have just added another layer to the sadness, heartbreak of this movie. But ultimately, it is still a fantastic movie in general. Loved it to death. And yeah, I think that it is definitely a huge improvement on part 2 for me. I didn't like part 2 whatsoever, and I loved this movie. So yeah, a lot of people, well, I've seen a lot of people who have the complete opposite opinion of me. I've seen a lot of people say Day One is trash. I've seen a lot of people say a lot of things. But yeah, this is my opinion. I do think that Quiet Place Part 2 is one of my least, I'm not saying it's one of the worst movies I've ever watched. In a lot of ways, it is a really good movie. But it's one of my like least favorite movies. And if one day I'll probably make a movie talking about my least favorite movie sequels, and this is probably one of them. I couldn't get into this movie at all. Like it was hard to watch. And I would put it in the F tier if it's a me problem. Like honestly, D tier, it's not you. It's me. Ha ha ha. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video. Have a fantastic day. Peace out, Quiet Place fans. I'll see you in a while for The Quiet Place Part 3. All right. Bye, y'all.